Whoa, whoops, I meant to play my videos.
Zadrizes buzdari skozdari.
Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome to Sir Hunt's Reviews. My name's Mark. Could be doing a giveaway for this Jon Snow anime poster. It's from an artist named Blaze Manga. I actually gave away... Did I give that away? I can't remember. I thought I gave away one of theirs before and I could... No, that was something different. That was a Ramsey drawing, and I actually don't remember that artist's name. But that's from someone named Blaze Manga, so you can look them up on YouTube. Alright, shout out to everybody that's already here in the chat. Let me do a quick shout out. If you're here and you're not typing, please type so I could shout out your name. If you don't want to, that's fine. I just, right now there's only 3 people. Shout out to JMJ, Mixed Queen, Destiny, Phillips, 420, Auto Hightower, and Sir Hunt's Reviews. Alright, that's me. So we're going to be talking about the Not a Blog post first. That's the most recent news in the A Song of Ice and Fire fandom. And then I'm going to obviously go to topics that were sent to me. There's only a few of them. I'm a patron. Oh, by the way, Merry Christmas, everyone. It is Christmas Eve. Happy Hanukkah as well. Happy holidays. I don't know if anybody celebrates either of those, but time to be with your family. My family is kind of waiting on me right now, so I don't know how long this stream's gonna be. Like, my kids are napping, but they're over at their grandma's house. My girlfriend's over there, her dad's over there, obviously her mom's there. I'm gonna be going over there soon, but you know, I have to entertain so I can feel good about myself now. Alright, so yes, George R.R. Martin. Let's see, let me show this to you guys. It's not a blog post. Alright, so this is cool. This is really cool. This is like a, sort of like an informal way of updating us about the progress of Winds of Winter. Not necessarily informal, but like, so he talks about Casterly Rock, right? And some of the depictions of Casterly Rock are terrible, or are wrong, rather. Not terrible, right? So, in the Not a Blog post, let me just read it. There's no point in me trying to describe it before I actually, like, skim through it. I'm not going to read all the stuff. He talks about the Rock of Gibraltar. I'm actually learning about Roman history myself right now. I've watched documentaries on it and all that stuff, but I don't really retain that information past watching that documentary. Like, I watched the War of the Roses documentary by Dan Jones that he did. It's on YouTube. It's on a couple different channels, but BBC. It's a BBC documentary. Big Black Cock. I started listening to his audiobooks, Power and Thrones, and it covers the entirety of, like, really everything. Everything from, like, the beginning of Rome to the fall of Rome to, like, just a little bit of everything, right? Leading all the way up to, I think, the actual start of the War of the Roses. I don't know. I haven't gotten through the book yet. I'm, like, got a good 20 hours left. Alright, so in this post, right, this is on George's Not a Blog post. This is the way he officially updates us, whether that be about the Jon Snow show, which hasn't even been confirmed by HBO yet. Crazy, I know. Kit, Emilia Clarke, and George himself have all confirmed it. My son won't go to sleep, so this stream may be even shorter than I thought. I just got a text message. That's because it's too hot, probably. Sorry, hang on a second. Alright, so this is cool, right? So, Not a Blog. So, about Casterly Rock. The seat of House Lannister has been mentioned hundreds of times in the 5 published novels of A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, I have read those books multiple times. Hundreds of times is a bit of an exaggeration, George. I'm just kidding. But no, for real. I don't think it's quite. Maybe 100 times. It's possible, but like by name, Casterly Rock, maybe. Just kidding. But the story has never actually gone there yet. oh, from time to time, Tyrion or Jamie or Sir. This is my George voice because he's from New Jersey, so I imagine. Well, he does kind of sound like a mobster a little bit. I've listened to a lot of his interviews, but not really. I'm laying on my accent quite a bit thicker than his actually is. Oh, from time to time, Tyrion or Jamie or Cersei have thought back to something or other that happened at the Rock in past years. But aside from those memories and quasi-flashbacks, we have never actually seen the Rock or Lannisport, the city that has grown up near its feet. This seems to have led to a certain amount of confusion as to what Casterly Rock looks like. Let me put that to rest. Here is Casterly Rock, as painted by Ted Nesmith, for the Song of Ice and Fire calendar in 2011, the Castle calendar. The same images, and let me just say something too. The art in the calendars of Ice and Fire, I have the next year one right behind me, and then, this year one, the 2022 one right there, but the 2023 one's back there. The calendar art has gotten so much better from those first ones that came out. Like, if you look at the pictures and the images from the 2014, 2013 ones, the art is good, but it's not nowhere near as good as, like, these, literally the last, 3 or 4 years that I've bought them. I'm just saying, it's gotten a lot better. So hopefully they'll revisit this, do another castle or maybe location one for 2024, and then that'd be really cool. I actually got the calendar as soon as it was available, the one for 2023. By Ted Nesmith Castle Calendar. The same images were also used in the World Book, Accordance, the World of Ice and Fire. Concordance. Nobody does castles better than Nesmith. He and I consulted frequently when he was doing the art. There are a few images. They are not quite as I imagine them, but he absolutely nailed Casterly Rock. Now, George is quite the critic when it comes to art about his world. It's actually really funny. I saw this thing where he does this interview. It was recently. He did it for the Penguin Random House or whatever for the Rise of the Dragon book. He has a picture of the Iron Throne brought up on screen in front of him. He's like, I don't know what that is. Starts ripping the art apart for like 5-10 seconds, right? It's hilarious. He's like, I don't know what the hell that thing is over there to the side, but this is the Iron Throne. Kinda. It's really funny. You could tell, like, he has a very specific image in his head, and it's honestly not hard to do. I'm not an artist, right? I got some of the best art behind me, right, in the world, right there. That's by my boy Jay Fox over in England, right? Damon, obviously. But it's funny. He's so specific. When he details something, there's no reason to not get it accurate, all right? So most of the depictions of the Iron Throne, like, kind of do like a show version, pseudo kind of. The Iron Throne is literally supposed to be like massive. It's supposed to be this tower. It's a struggle to climb the stairs up to get on top of it. But once you are sitting up there, you tower over everybody that comes into the throne room. It's meant to be intimidating. It's meant to make you feel small. Very much like in Dune. George took a lot of stuff from Dune. Dune is way more hardcore, though. Like, so, obviously mankind's at its peak, right? So they have these massive walls, this massive throne that's made out of this giant crystal, right? In Dune. And when Gaius' mother, Helena Mohaine, is being brought to go see Paul, she has to walk for so long. And then when she finally gets to the throne room, she has to walk again for so long that she feels defeated. And she thinks to herself, the whole point of this is to make me feel deflated and inferior. So by the time I talk to the person who is, responsible for all this, I feel way smaller than I actually should. And it's because everything is just overwhelming, right? That's the same thing with the throne room. So getting way back on track here, when George says something like, oh, Aegon intimidated the crap out of all the people because there's 10,000 swords just literally melted together and sort of piled up, and he sits on top of it, that's crazy, right? You think, that guy, whoever made this, whoever constructed this, whoever's responsible for this is crazy, not someone to be trifled with. That's the point of the Iron Throne. There's like something in history that was like called the Tower of Skulls or Tower of Bones, that I believe it was somewhere in the Middle East, and it was this massive structure of all these dead bodies that you could see for a while around, and when you'd see it, you'd be like, oh, who the hell did this? Let me stay away from those people. That's the whole point of what the Iron Throne is supposed to look like, and Casterly Rock is one of those things. It's very intimidating. Like, for instance, the caves at the base of Casterly Rock are big enough for ships to flow through into all of Casterly Rock, right? And the docks are covered by the Casterly Rock itself, so the docks are protected. So this is how big Casterly Rock is. It's big enough for a ship to through the base of it. And then there's still all this other crap up inside of it. And like George has mentioned specifically in the most recent Dance with Dragons, rather, Tyrion thinks to himself, hey, Casterly Rock may be a good place to defend against... Let me give you a specific example. Tyrion used to light fires in the bowels of Casterly Rock and just watch it burn. So, I'm leaping a little bit here, but if a castle is big enough to have a fire set in the base of it and just no one finds out about it, like Tyrion may or may not have gotten in trouble to it, that lets you know that fire inside of it is kind of contained. So Casterly Rock, and George mentions this in the Not a Blog post, Casterly Rock is potentially one of the best places to withstand an attack from dragons. But you may ask, well, Daenerys' dragons are the only one in the world in that storyline right now. Why the hell would he have to? Well, one of Daenerys' dragons may be taken from her, and someone will attack Casterly. Maybe Tyrion is on young Griff's side up until he knocks the Syvass piece on the floor. And this is something that happens in A Dance of Dragons in maybe his 7th POV. I'm not sure. It's in A Dance of Dragons in Tyrion's POV. He's playing a board game with young Griff. Aegon, Rhaegar's older son that was snuck away, older than Jon Snow, that was snuck away and saved, and he just popped back up in A Dance of Dragons. Tyrion is sort of on this journey with them, and then he obviously wants to go to this brothel, has sex with this whore, pathetically. He's distraught, so he doesn't last very long, and then he kind of throws up on the floor in front of her, and she's like, what the? She didn't even speak the common tongue, so he kind of, it's really funny. He's like, I'll pay for that, right? So then he drunkenly stumbles down the stairs, and then Jorah gets him, and then he's in slavery. But before that, right before that, he's on a ship, and he's playing Syvass, or Syvassi, however you want to say it. It's basically Game of Thrones checkers. Our Song of Ice and Fire checkers. I don't even think it's mentioned on the show. Maybe it is. I don't know. But he's playing Syvass, and he tricks Aegon, young Griff, right, into thinking... He's called young Griff because he's the companion of Griff, John Connington, who is Rhaegar's best friend. So, if this is Rhaegar's son, he was raised by Rhaegar's best friend. A lot of people think John Connington... he kind of does. In his POV, is in love with Rhaegar, so, whatever, right? So he raises young Griff, and that's how he gets that nickname. Griffin is the sigil on John Connington's house, right? And they actually just took it in Dance with Dragons. So, anyway, getting back on track here, Tyrion is playing Syvass with this dude, Aegon, and the whole time he's playing with him, he's tricking him and saying, like, don't use your dragons first. Make sure you save your dragon. Or, like, he's leading him into... Tyrion's kind of testing him, to be honest. He's, like, testing how much patience he has, kind of, right? Because, ultimately, he follows Tyrion's advice and loses the game of Syvass. And then Tyrion kind of rubs it in his face, and he's like, never listen to someone... Basically, not verbatim, but he tells him, like... never trust people who are against you, right? He kind of just teaches him a lesson. Young Griff gets mad about this, knocks all the Syvass pieces on the floor, and then says, pick it up, right? And something very similar has happened to Tyrion. At Joffrey's wedding, Joffrey pours the wine, kicks his wine cup, makes him pick it up. It happened in the TV show, right? So this makes Tyrion, because he pisses Griff off, a young Griff off, and Griff knocks all the pieces on the floor, this makes Tyrion think that Griff may not be as suitable a candidate for the Iron Throne that he may have initially thought, because Griff carries himself very well, he's always learning things, he's curious, he seems like he'll be a decent ruler, right? He's got the claim, he's got an army behind him, right? He's in Westeros, and he just recently took, Griffin's Roost, and he's in the Stormlands. So it's interesting, to say the least, what'll happen as far as with the Casterly Rock stuff. So let me go back to the Not a Blog post. But I'm a big fan of Aegon. I think he's the real deal. I don't think he's Aegon. Just because when the show came out, when the first book came out, and I said this recently, there was no World of Ice and Fire. When the Dance of Dragons came out, there's no World of Ice and Fire. There was... I don't even think Dangerous Women or Rogues came out until later that year, or 2012 even. So, there was just the novellas, some of the Dunk and Egg stories. I think the first one was published in 2006. I'm not sure. There was no World of Ice and Fire. There was no Fire and Blood. In those two books, specifically in Fire and Blood, so many people sneak out of the Red Keep. For instance, Jerry's and Allison have something like 13 children. So many of them sneak out into the Red Keep. One of them, Sarah, sneaks out of the Red Keep. Well, no, that's not true. She's a silent sister, sneaks away on a ship. My point is that she does sneak out a couple times. So it's really easy to sneak out of the Red Keep, right? Maybe not Maegor's Holdfast, which is the Holdfast inside of the Red Keep. So it's a castle inside of a castle. But for the most part, it's pretty easy, if you know the way, to use Maegor's tunnels to get in and out of the Red Keep. Now, specifically why I say it's harder to get into Maegor's Holdfast is because this... I know I've been guilty of saying it, but blood and cheese doesn't actually happen in Maegor's Holdfast. It happens in the Tower of the Hand. And the reason being is because Blood, the rat catcher, literally says, I don't know no gosh dang way into Maegor's Holdfast, but I can get us into the Red Keep. I can get us into the Tower of the Hand. Way easier to get in there, but I can't get into Maegor's Holdfast. So that's potentially why... I forgot what the heck I was talking about. People sneaking out of the Red Keep. Yes, so it's easy to do that, right? So, and you know what's interesting? Maybe George made that detail because Aegon was in Maegor's Holdfast. But here's the thing, though. Varys is such a sneaky little devil. You don't know. You don't know. Anyway, Aegon is a good candidate. I believe that he's legitimate. I think the main reason why no one thinks he's real is because George hadn't written all this information about Targaryens sneaking out of the Red Keep yet. We'll see when Winds of Winter comes out. But just continuing on here, George goes on to say, take a look! And if you'd like to see a larger, crisper image, it's there in the World Book. Okay, well, let me go get that right now. Alright, Castelli Rock. We're looking for Castelli Rock. I promise we're going to talk about the greens. Yeah, my son's... I hope y'all are happy. My son's missing his nap today. It's going to be a crazy night. Casterly Rock, where are you? Casterly... Oh, wow. All these pages... Hopefully it's one of the first images. I can just pull it up online. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yes, I'm just going to pull it up online. That image is quite the blurry joint. There we go. Cool. Game of Thrones did okay. The Rock should have just been way taller. Let me show you all that. Yeah, this is what it looks like. All nice and fresh and crisp, and this is the one in comparison with the Game of Thrones. So definitely not like this, because you could tell something like this, you ain't taking no boats. There's no underground dock there. And then what's this? Is that Highgarden? That doesn't even look like it's anything from Game of Thrones. Is that Highgarden before they CGI'd it or something? But this is what it's supposed to look like right here. Ted Nasmith. Alright, so continuing on here. Lannisport is not in the image, you'll note. If this were a photograph rather than a painting, one could say that the picture was likely taken from the docks and or city walls of Lannisport. The angle is correct. This is just the rock itself. This is just itself. Ted got all the little details right. The great stone stairway on the south face in the shadow, leading up to the rock's main entrance. The sea gates at the base, large enough for galleys and cogs to sail into the caverns under the stone, where the Lannisters have their own protected docks. 2 rocky protrusions jutting out into the sea on either side of the caves, looked at from the south, they evoke a lion's paw, and the rock itself resembles a crouching lion. One of the inspirations for the heraldic imagery of the Lannisters and the Casterlys before them. Because remember, it's called Casterly Rock, House Casterly, friggin' built the thing, right? And then they had it stolen from them by the sneaky little dude, who I imagine looks like the guy in Eurotrip who puts his hand on their thighs and goes, "Scusi, scusi, scusi." He's a famous actor, and he's on SNL. Well, he was on SNL, and he does the music. He's in the band for the the Late Late Show with Seth Meyers. He's really funny. That guy's hilarious. He plays the drums, right? But there's this really awesome song that plays in late night. I don't watch the show. I like the music. I used to watch the show when I was into politics and all that stuff. But anyway, it goes, "Scusi, scusi." That guy. What was I bringing that up for? It was a watchtower. If you look closely, you can hear the scatter. What was I getting at? There's also the watchtower on the top of the rock. Lion's paw. The rock itself is a crouching lion. Oh, Land the Clever. Yeah, Land the Clever, I imagine, is like that guy. Scusi. Sneaks on into Casterly Rock, tricks the Casterlys out of their giant castle, right? It's really cool. Even though the TV show made it seem as though the mines in Casterly Rock are drying up, that's not true. That's not true at all. There's still veins of pink and yellow gold in Casterly Rock that have never been touched. Never. The Casterlys didn't even mess with them. So their mines are not drying up anytime soon. Realistically, Cersei will retreat to Casterly Rock, right? So she's got, obviously, trial by combat coming up. Sir Robert Strong, the freaking mountain incarnate, is going to murder whoever they put in front of. She's going to have to be forced to escape to the west. This is where we're going to see Casterly Rock. Maybe she'll die in the process of trying to get I just want to see the Lannister get in there and defend themselves from dragons. And George mentions that this part coming up. But you got to realize that even if she holds on to the Iron Throne, King's Landing is not going to be safe. I imagine for the last book, at the end of A Dance with Dragons, there'll be multiple rulers, if not just as many as War of the Five Kings, but they'll all be spread out. And A Dream of Spring will be about the Night King, which isn't. People love to say he's not the same as in the TV show. Yeah, because there's an S on the end. But also the 13th Lord Commander, right? This dude who fell in love with this woman with blue eyes north of the wall, right? And they went on to do these crazy sacrifice and ritualistic things at the Night Fort. That's pretty much the Night King. That's who the show was like, okay, well, these White Walkers have to have a leader. Who started them? What's their purpose, right? So they think about that, and they go, okay, it's the Night King. It's this guy. So, but that person, the Night King, hasn't actually made an appearance in the books, that's all. But it's not like he's not in the books entirely. He is. You just haven't seen him yet. Ideally, the White Walkers, we'll find out, have their own culture and their own language. Sam, when he hears them, they sound like crackling ice and stuff. So it'll be really cool if in A Dream of Spring, it's all about the White Walkers coming down, and whoever's left from fighting the dragons in the strongest castle, that's also where they'll be able to safely defend against the White Walkers. Maybe George does a time jump, and the time jump ends, or starts rather, with a bunch of people being held up in these different castles. You know, it'd be really cool if somehow Tyrion was the one who got back to Casterly Rock. Like, it's kind of hard to imagine how, but not really, okay? Victarion Greyjoy doesn't like Euron. Okay, Victarion Greyjoy is probably going to try to team up with somebody who could help rid him of Euron. Tyrion is currently just signed a contract with the Golden Company, with the Second Sons, to basically give them all of his wealth, right? He literally signed over every piece of gold in Casterly Rock. This is a theory that I'm coming up with live. Maybe you've heard it before. This is the first time I've ever thought of it. So the pieces are there, right? So Tyrion gave away all the gold in Castle Rock. Literally, he signs contracts with the Second Sons for like 5 pages. He's just signing stuff away. And the first one is for like 1,000 or 100 pieces of gold, and then it goes all the way till the end, and he gets to Brown Ben Plum, the leader of the Second Sons. The amount he owes him is like 1,000,000 pieces or something insane of gold, not of gold, right? So Tyrion's going to need to get out of that situation, but he's going to use them to get to Westeros. So you may ask, Victarion is currently headed to where Tyrion is right now, literally, with a massive fleet. Obviously, he's going to go back to Westeros around the same time as Tyrion, right? Traveling at this time is very unsafe. There's a pirate fleet down in the Stepstones. You can't safely get across the narrow sea. Trade isn't flowing. The Seven Kingdoms are being ravaged by war, so it's going to be very hard to safely get somewhere. So Tyrion, right, and his fleet of Second Sons will get taken up by Victarion, a Second Son. Tyrion will be forced into the service of Victarion. Tyrion is really smart in the books, right? Like, not like Tyrion on the TV show. Tyrion is a genius in the books. So he's going to work the will of who I've been recently told is stupid, Victarion. They're going to make a deal. They're going to be like, look, you need to get rid of your brother. And it'll be interesting because the Lannisters and the Greyjoys never get along. You'll see in House of the Dragon, right? Joanna Lannister, the Red Kraken, right? Dalton Greyjoy. We'll see just how little the Lannisters and the Greyjoys get along. They hate each other. The Greyjoys are always raiding the Westerlands, and the Lannisters are always getting their women taken and stolen away. Dalton Greyjoy says something like, "Yeah, I'll stop raiding Lannisport, but you gotta tell the women to stop jumping into the ocean begging for us to take them." It's hilarious. So yeah, continuing on here. Lannisport is not in the image. You will note if this. Oh, I already read that part. Ted got all. I already read that part too. There's also the watchtower on top of the rock, and if you look very closely, here and there, up and down the face of the mount, you can see windows and arrow slits. They seem small, but that is part of the illusion. The rock itself is very large, massive. That's what I tell my girl. She's like, it looks kind of small. I'm like, it's very large. It's massive. What you are seeing is an illusion. So yeah, down here, and then you see all these little slits and arrows. Can you all see my cursor? I don't think you can. You just look towards the bottom of the image. As I have mentioned in 100 interviews over the years, when I am doing my world building, I often start with some real world event or location and turn it up to an 11. That's a Spinal Tap reference. Of course, it may not be precise. Listen here. Spinal Tap is one of the funniest movies of all time. I have been making Turn It Up to 11 jokes for a while, since before George started putting them in this here not a blog post. I started doing it because of The Office. Like, I've seen Spinal Tap multiple times, but Michael in The Office does it a lot, and I often will do Michael Scott's turn of phrases and not even realize it. So what I'm getting at here is George is copying me. Can you imagine? In some cases, I turn it up to 111 or 11,000. The Wall, for instance, inspired by my visit to Hadrian's Wall, but 3 times as long and way taller, made of ice and magic. The origins of Castle Rock are somewhat similar. This time, my inspiration was the Rock of Gibraltar. A depressing number of people only seem to know Gibraltar as the trademark for Prudential Insurance. I never heard or seen Prudential Insurance. That is an old school ass reference, George. I grew up with that image myself in the 60s and 50s, right, when you were born. But believe it or not, I'm being mean to the dude whose whose books I'm obsessed with. I'm sorry. I'm not even being mean. I'm talking. That's sarcastic. There's a little bit of sarcasm. But believe it or not, the Rock of Gibraltar is not the stony version of the Gecko Geico. It is a real place, a unique place with thousands of years of history. To the ancients, it was one of the pillars of Hercules. The other pillars far less impressive. The gateway between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic. Today, it is a British outpost at the bottom of Spain, one of the last remnants of an empire that once spanned the globe. You giving us a history lesson? I already know it, but I'll read it for the people watching. Just kidding. It's the home of the Barbary apes who will hop on your back and steal. Who is at my front door? Oh. Freaking Santa Claus. There are British pubs. Wait. It's the home of the Barbary apes who will hop on your back and steal your hat and eyeglasses if you let them. There are British pubs and fish and chip shops all over the town at the Rock's feet, as well as... Yes, go visit. It's amazing. There's a World War II bunker, concert hall, amphitheater, World War II area, and ancient mines. That's how he's just telling you how big the Rock of Gibraltar itself is. So let's do the Rock of Gibraltar. I honestly thought it was over here. I thought it was America's version of Plymouth Rock. Like I thought the Rock of Gibraltar was over here. We got the Grand Canyon. We got the Plymouth Rock. We got the Pilgrims coming over here and stuff and doing horrible, horrible things to the Native Americans. And the Apaches did horrible, horrible things to the Pilgrims. Why visit the Rock of Gibraltar? It's a place like no other. I bet it is. What, did George write that ad himself? George, yeah, trying to get people to the Rock of Gibraltar. I think I'm a lot funnier than I actually am in my head. Alright, so this is what it looks like. That's cool. These are the Barbary apes. You know what's funny? In Victorian Greyjoy's POV in A Dance with Dragons, or maybe some Feast with Crows, he steals so many ships, and on one of the islands that he has to dock at and make repairs to, there's these little Valyrian apes, right? These lemurs jump onto his ship and take over his ships. They'll swing from ship to ship on the netting. So that's really cool. George probably got that from those daggone Barbary apes, relating back to the Lannister Casterly Rock of Gibraltar thing, right? My brain is firing on all cylinders, man. Let's see, continuing on here. Let me get down to the good part. Hey, look, here's a picture. Well, y'all can't see that. Here's a picture of George with the monkeys. I used that as a thumbnail when I was doing a Winds of Winter update. It's funny, because it looks like George is sitting there playing with monkeys when he should be finishing Winds of Winter. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Oh, somebody is... why won't it let me block this person? Sorry, there was somebody writing, I guess, weird messages in the chat, and I was just trying to figure out, how to block the person, but it won't let me block them for some reason. Alright, well, let me get back on focus track here. So yeah, that's a picture of George with the monkeys. So, skipping ahead to... The Rock of Gibraltar is 3 miles long, 7/10 of a mile wide, and almost 1,400 feet, 14,000 feet, can you imagine? 1,400, it touches literally outer space. 1,400 feet high, and it is at its highest point. That's twice as tall as the wall, for those who want a Westerosi reference. So George basically saying, I didn't go too crazy. That's double the size. The wall is 700 feet high. There's a lot of sevens in George's world, Faith of the Seven. This is why I tried to get to my 7th time of rereading the books by the time House of the Dragon came out, but I failed miserably as I'm reading Storm of Swords for the 7th time. So, didn't quite get all the way through there. The Lannister... Casterly Rock is larger, 2 leagues long, so Casterly Rock is larger than the Rock of Gibraltar. 2 leagues long from west to east, that's approximately 6 miles compared to 3 for Gibraltar. Its peak is 2,100 feet high as opposed to 1,400, so 700 feet higher than... Alright. Okay, so there's like this last little paragraph that I can vibe off of, like, comment on. The Lannister castle is not on top of the rock, it is inside the rock, all of it. Barracks, armories, bedchambers, grand halls, servants' quarters, dungeons, sept, everything. That's what makes the rock the strongest and most impregnable seat in all of Westeros. The Eyrie, Winterfell, Storm's End, and they all have formidable defenses, but none of them can match Casterly Rock. When Harren the Black built Harrenhal, he thought his immense new castle could defy even dragons. Stone does not burn, he reasoned, but stone does melt, and dragons fly, and, well, you know the rest. And Balerian's flames proved hot enough to turn Harren's massive towers molten. But Casterly Rock is a mountain, and its chambers and halls are buried deep inside, under tons of solid stone. No certain wall in Westeros, however thick, can come even close. So obviously referring to the walls and towers of Harrenhal. What does this all mean? Maybe nothing. I just want to set the record straight, give you all something to think about, jive turkeys, and put an end to all these pictures of a little rock with a castle on top. Casterly Rock will not remain forever off stage. I hope this is the most exciting part. I have 2 more novels to go, and my plan is to have 1 or more of my viewpoint characters visit the rock in The Winds of Winter or A Dream of Spring, so I can show you all the wonders and terrors and treasures of House Lannister firsthand. Meanwhile, feel free to ponder, could Casterly Rock stand against dragons? And that's what we're about to do. We know it can be taken by apes. Oh, did you give me a freaking... Oh, it just popped in my head. It can be taken by apes. All right, let me stop the screen share. It can be taken by apes, okay? Little Demon Monkey is a nickname given to Tyrion Lannister. I just talked about Victarion Greyjoy. I just talked about how he needs to get rid of Euron. One of the reasons why he doesn't want to kill Euron, he could destroy Euron in combat. It's not even a... Certain characters, when they're badass fighters, they can do badass things. And they know with certain confidence, right? So, for instance, as Arya's POV increases, she gains more faith in her abilities because her training increases. She's killed more people, and her discipline is harder, right? Or like better, right? So she becomes a better warrior. There are certain characters where you have a learned POV, so not Arya, maybe someone else, like maybe it'll be through Jon's perspective, right? He's up north. He'll know, and he can spot when someone's a badass fighter. There's a certain air of confidence they go with. So Victarion could easily destroy Euron, is what I was getting at by saying that. Like, Euron is not known to be a fighter. That's Victarion's specialty. Before, he had his arm poisoned and then turned into this blackened, crackling fist that's now stronger than it ever was, right? So before that, he could have destroyed Euron. And now that he has this super fist that will ultimately probably bring about his demise, he could totally wipe the floor with Euron, right? But he... much like Rhaenyra in House of the Dragon, is afraid of kinslaying. So what he does, or what he's going to do, is have someone, and he thinks about this in his POV, he thinks about all of his men, and how any one of his men could stand against Euron, or Euron's mongrels, right? So, that fight is coming. He'll have to team up with a demon monkey. A monkey will take the rock, and Victarion and Euron and that alliance, maybe even with Fagon, will have to withstand Daenerys' assault on dragons. Or maybe it won't be Daenerys. Maybe one of Daenerys' dragons gets taken, okay, by an unsavory individual, and they use it to bring about fire and blood to Westeros, and they end up attacking Casterly Rock, and someone's there holding out. Like, he mentions, you know, a mountain is hundreds of feet thicker than some measly old castle. Even if you could burn a certain section of the mountain and get it hot enough to maybe start burning, you still ain't gonna do nothing because everything is buried deep, deep, deep in the mountain. And the mountain itself is huge. So when you make the mountain smaller, you do yourself a disservice in that whenever that attack does come, like if it were to be shown on screen, it's obviously it's not Game of Thrones, it's over, right? Obviously we're getting the Jon Snow sequel show, but if they were to do that, that's why George was mentioning that. So that's really cool. What is interesting about all of this is that, like I said, it's kind of an update on the Winds of Winter. Like, it's coming. Like, there was that weird little interview thing he did with the cartoon character on the Colbert Report, and he's like, yeah, I got 500 pages or so to go. That was a joke. He probably has, like, maybe 100 or a few hundred pages. I'm not going to guess. Who knows, right? But it will just make the most sense. you do a post like this, like these are similar to the posts that we got right before Dance Dragons came out in 2011. You can look back and it's not a blog post to what those posts were surrounding the release or the announcement of a release date for his books. So this is really, really good news in my opinion. Alright, so let's jump into the actual topic of this, alright? The greens. I am still doing a giveaway for this Jon Snow picture. I did a giveaway almost every week since House of the Dragon ended. Well, that's not true. I did several giveaways for several weeks, and I stopped because I ran out of printer ink. But the last person who won that giveaway, I'm waiting to hear back from them on Instagram, but I'm probably going to send them an original painting I did because I still can't afford the ink yet. But I do have this, and I also have another one of Daenerys, but I'm going to give away this one for this live stream. This is it is slightly damaged. I've had it for years. I got it in 2017 at Con of Thrones. It's really cool. It's Jon, Ghost, and Rhaella. And it's like an anime version. The artist is Blaze Manga over on Instagram. You can go look them up. They do a bunch of stuff. I looked at some of their more recent posts, and they looks like they go to conventions and sell a lot of their work. I actually got this one and a couple other ones when I got it. So this was hanging up on my wall for a while. That's how it got damaged in the move. But I'll be doing a giveaway towards the end. I think I've only been streaming for like 30 minutes or something. Yeah, 40 minutes. So I'll do that giveaway when I'm gonna be wrapping up. All right, so just going to my Patreon to pull up topics that were submitted there. Let's see. There was only a couple. Let's see. Yes, there is 2, 3. But one of them is more like a god dang paragraph, Destiny. I was kidding. This first one is from a user named AnaaaRodarte, and if you're unaware, these are all members of my Patreon. Right? Patreon it's a way for me to not rely on YouTube's ad revenue. I used to say this in every video, but I stopped for a while. Basically, I upload videos there. Before I was uploading audio podcasts, all that's still there. There's like a whole day, right, worth of content available there, only available there, and you can join for as little as $1. And if you're like, why are you asking people who are watching you for their hard-earned money? Well, I offer exclusive content that's only available there, and obviously you don't have to do that. Only do that if you're a fan of mine. Like, it's clear, right? The last live stream that I did, I don't know what I said, but it was demonetized. This one might have ads playing on it while it's live, but after it's live, it gets demonetized, right? And then also, you can look and see at YouTube's algorithm when I drop a video. Go into incognito mode, type in House of the Dragon. That still happened. I just don't mention it as often because honestly, it's annoying to say all that before I get into a video. Like, that could be several minutes worth of stuff of me having to record and edit when I could just jump right into the video. And that's what I love doing. I don't like doing all this preface stuff. Like, there's YouTubers, I know people that I watch that make King Killer Chronicle content, right? There's not that many people who make that kind of content on YouTube, but the people that make King Killer Chronicle content will put a lot of, you could tell that they write a script, and that's awesome, right? But there's a lot of filler to the information I want. Is bashed, what's going to happen with this character, right? So I try to do that in my videos. There's no froth and frill and all that. No, this is what I'm saying. Here's the information. If it's a leak video, I'll repeat it again at the end because I know I get side. That's how I try to make my videos so that there's no filler. And I think if you watch enough of them, you'll get that. Especially when the show was on, because I had a million things to talk about. So I'd always just go, okay, let's do this, right? But I had to do the shadow ban thing and all that stuff. So, wait. Let's jump into the Patreon questions. That's what Patreon is. So it's just a way for me to move away from relying on YouTube so heavily. All right, so the first one is from AnaaaRodarte, and she says, yes. I'm trying to watch it today because I finally have no work at... Alice Rivers. witch? Is she Melisandre? Who is she? This is a good one. So technically, this is in line with the Greens, right? So Alice Rivers is a Green. She becomes Aemon's concubine. She has a child. May or may not be Aemon's. I don't see why it wouldn't be Aemon's. We know the basics of what happens after Aegon III's regency when he reigns, and then Viserys takes over, and then obviously we get Aegon, the Blackfire, all that stuff. But the specific information of some of the things that are left up in the air in Fire and Blood, we haven't gotten, like, what ends up happening with Alice Rivers. Like, her actual fate, we need more information on. So, like, obviously it's going to be different on the TV show. Do I think she's Melisandre? That theory only works on the TV show. Melisandre would have... main reason why I say that is because Melisandre has POV in Dance with Dragons. She probably will have POVs in Winds of Winter if she doesn't die in Dream of Spring as well. And she never thought about dragons being at war, carrying the child of Aemon. It's possible for the TV show because they said, oh, she's 500 years old or whatever, right? So they basically did the thing that happens in, I can't remember that horror movie where Jack Nicholson or whatever walks in, sees that really attractive woman in the tub, and then she like stands up and she's old, right? They did that with Melisandre, so it's easy on the TV show for them to be like, yes, Melisandre is this mysterious person. You don't know her thoughts. You don't know how long she's been in Westeros. There could easily be a chance that she's this Shadowbinder, potentially Alice Rivers, right? And I say Shadowbinder Alice Rivers is because she may not actually be pregnant with Aemon's baby, and maybe one of the last things they did was make a shadow baby. She's waiting to birth that shadow baby, and maybe that shadow baby is who kills a character that dies mysteriously, right? Like there's this dude. So after the war, Tyland Lannister, the Hooded Hand, it might be Jason. I always get them confused because they're twins, right? But he's the one that was not asking Rhaenyra about building a stable or a dragon, pit and all this stuff. He's the one that basically reminds everybody of Tyrion, like myself included. Not that one, the other one. So the one who comes up to Viserys at the meeting and tells him that Daemon needs help in the Stepstones. That one. Jason, I think. So the Hooded Hand sends a garrison of men, sends I think like 150 men, to go to Harrenhal after Aemon dies, after Aegon's been crowned, the Regency started, the Hour of the Wolf's already happened, right? So he's still the Hand. He dies in the Winter Fever like 2 years after Dance with Dragons. And it's crazy because he worked for the Greens against Rhaenyra, but he works tirelessly and effortlessly for her son Aegon III. So he has a complete turnaround. The torturing that happens to him under Rhaenyra, which is even crazier, the fact that he works for his son willingly, and he lost his eye. He looks so disfigured and displeasing to the eye that he wears a hood over his face, and that actually lends to why people hate him and give him this mysterious thing, like he has shit talked about him, and it's because he wears a hood, but he only wears the hood because he's disfigured. So it's kind of interesting in that sense. But so the Hooded Hand ends up sending a garrison of men to Harrenhal, and when they get there, they say, hey, can the Lord of the Castle come out? And Alice Rivers walks out to the embankment, and she says, I am the Lord of the Castle. Aemon was my husband. I have his baby. This is not verbatim. I have his baby. His baby is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. And then, according to Mushroom, she has a slinger, right? These people who have slingshots and they shoot small balls of lead that like explode bones and break apart skin on impact. So they're basically bullets, right? They sling stuff really fast, and that's not common over in Westeros. So Alice Rivers probably had someone who was hired initially by King Aegon, because King Aegon sends across the Narrow Sea to get sellswords come. One of those sellswords may be a Dothraki pit fighter or someone who was just trained in I can't remember right now, but there's a certain part of Essos where those lead slingers, or they're called slingers, where they're trained at. So it's mentioned in Tyrion's POV chapter in Dance with Dragons. So maybe that's what Alice River has, and that's what Mushroom says she has in his version, Fire and Blood. But basically, the dude who calls out who calls out Alice Rivers, right? has his head exploded by this singer, and the people around him are like, oh my god, she's super magic. So then she sends someone back to King's Lane to go say the message that she has, which is that her son, the son of Aemond, is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, and the person who's telling everybody around him the message is like, please do not laugh at me. Please, if you laugh, I will die, right? So, obviously, it's not mentioned who, the name is lost to history, but someone starts laughing at him because the story that he tells is so ridiculous. They went to Harrenhal, and there's this woods witch lady up there, and she's exploding people's heads and stuff, and now you're telling me I can't laugh at the ridiculous thing you just told me? So someone starts laughing, and then the apparently the dude has an imprint of a woman's hands around his neck, and he just chokes to death right there. So she could have given him the strangler poison, and it was just like a delayed effect, or there was a shadow baby that was used, and that was the son of Aemon that was standing next to her. It's kind of hard to tell. So is Alice Rivers Melisandre? I don't think so. For Fire and Blood, definitely not. For the TV show, possible. I just think that would be kind of corny, right? They need to just make her a Shadowbinder. That's the easiest thing. When unlearned individuals or learned individuals, like the Maesters telling this story, don't understand something, they fear it, right? So you fear the unknown. That's human nature. Last night, I was outside smoking a cigarette, and the ground is so cold here, it's literally frozen, right? So there's a patch of woods behind my house, and the leaves are frozen, so there was this little fucking, I don't know, bird or something jumping around on the snow back there. But I was like, fuck that, and threw a log. I threw a log back into the woods. It might have killed the little bird, but it was because it was making a noise, and it sounded like a person was walking up. So I figured if it was a person, I'm not taking any chances. This log will send my message and make my message clear. Get the fuck from behind my house. Right? That's my message. Fear the unknown. So the Maesters, the people telling the story, they don't understand what Alice Rivers was. They feared her, and they called her this whatever. She's probably just a Shadowbinder from Ashai. In Ashai, it's like this radioactive place that, in short, you can practice any kind of magic you want to. Like, the gold that comes from there is poisoned, and all of their food and stuff, for the most part, has to be brought in from everywhere else. So, like, you may ask, it's the way World of Ice and Fire puts it. It's like, they're like, why would a sailor go all the way to Ashai to sell their goods when they could sell, food and all this other stuff without having to go to Ashai? The reason why they do it is because the people of Ashai pay so much money for it, because nothing grows there. Any animals that are brought there, they die because there's some weird magical thing about Ashai that kills animals. Animals are way more susceptible to it than humans. But don't kill dragons, because there's probably live wild dragons, maybe even thousands of years old, around Ashai, right? So George hasn't said in his books that when dragons get too big, they die. That's something for the TV show. So there could be hundreds of years, dragons around from when the Doom happened, and they went to around Ashai or something. But anyway, the only reason why I wanted to bring that up is, like, yeah, Shadowbinders are from there. Remember I was saying about people bringing in food. Most of the people that live there, do magic there, eat that food, but not the Shadowbinders. The Shadowbinders are the only ones who are crazy enough to eat the fish in the river, which is the only animal that's around Ashai. Is this weird, probably, in The Simpsons where you see that three-eyed fish in the river? Probably like one of those. They glow in the dark through bioluminescence, and the only people that are crazy enough to eat them are the Shadowbinders. So the Shadowbinders have some stuff that's going on. But like I was saying with the Maesters, they don't understand what it is. They logged the woods like I did. Like I threw a log into the wood. Like I'm telling you, I hurled the shit out of it. I didn't hear any more walking around on the snow afterwards. So or frozen ground. So potentially, I killed a bird last night, and I'm bragging about it here on YouTube. So yeah, Fear the Unknown, Maesters, Alice Rivers. I don't think she's Melisandre. Hopefully I answered your question, AnaaaRodarte. The next one, only got a few, so I'm taking my time with these, is from Mixed Queen Destiny Bedford. I'm just kidding. Mixed Queen Destiny Phillips 420. She's here in the chat. She better be. If not, I want my $5 back. I paid Destiny $5 to watch me. No. She says, I know I'm super late, so don't come for me. Oh, I already came for you. I came all over for you. I don't particularly have a question. Just, what? That's the second line? I know I'm super late, don't come for me. Then she says, I don't particularly have a question. Okay, great way to start off. Nice. I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. I'm yanking your chain. I don't particularly have a question. I just wanted to say hi. Hi and Merry Christmas. Say, I wish they stayed on track with the books. Uh-oh, she's talking some junk. I mean, I get they want us to switch allegiance with every episode, which is awesome and exciting. I love the black some days, I love the green others, but they could have portrayed the characters' personalities more. Allison is supposed to be more hardcore and cold, and so is Eamon for that matter. I really want to see the gruesome bodies wash up on the shore, Arax and Lucerys. So, Fire and Blood's version, Eamon brings Lucerys' head on a bed of kelp and serves it to Floris, the one who said, oh, he took your eye, I thought he took your bowls. I'm glad you picked my sister, because I want a husband who has all my parts, right? So that's the line from Fire and Blood that makes Eamon go and take Lucerys' head and put on a bed of kelp. And I'm telling you right now, you say you want to see that, but no, you don't. No, you don't. The show would be called gore porn at that point, because that's just unnecessary. Lucerys is a little boy. He's 16 in real life. He's 13 in the show, at least he's supposed to be. Eamon is 19, but it's mentioned that when Eamon is first asked to be, when they crown Aegon and they go looking for Eamon is donning his plate in mail. So not only is he got 7 years on Lucerys, but also he trains every day. So he's gonna be bigger. So people were saying that, not very many, but I saw some people complaining about how Eamon looks like he's 30 years old fighting against this little boy. Well, actor Elliot, who plays Lucerys in the TV show, looks a little bit younger, but also it's supposed to be like that. That's dead on. That's how it's supposed to be in the books. Eamon, in comparison, and you can look at all the fan art. I was just talking about how Doris doesn't necessarily like all the fan art, but the officially commissioned stuff, for the most part, is really good. You look at all that art, you see Eamon is this, looks way older than, and he's only 6 years. There's a 6-year difference, 19 and 13, in the books. So they did really good. So Allison is supposed to be this more hardcore, cold character. And then Alicent and the page from the book, and then Eamon's accidental murder of Lucerys. Everything feels a little subdued. I mean, they did a good job. I was still really shocked. What do you think? So I kind of gave my opinion on well, not my opinion, but what happens in the books, breakdown part. So you're basically saying it's toned down, it's tamed, right? So I could easily say, yeah, I knew they were going to do that, but I made videos where I was saying I hope it's this violent, bloody, atrocious battle, right? But here's the thing. In short, right, and I read this before, but I'm stalling to give myself time to answer, right? In short, it's only been one season. The event that it ended with is bloody, but nowhere near the bloodiest event. That had blood and cheese, bloodier, right? The Battle of the Fish Feet. That is literally the bloodiest battle in all of Westerosi history, right? I don't even want to say this, but the Battle at the Gullet, holy crap, right? All of these major events need to happen for me to properly be able to answer your question, Destiny, because it hasn't been enough episodes. Yeah, they definitely toned it back, but they also went harder on certain areas. So they turned it back on, Mushroom's version of what happened with Lucerys and the body, and his body and his head being brought to Floris by Eamon, because Eamon is egged on by this one of the 4 storms, right? But then, if you think back to the 5th episode, when they had Rhaenyra's wedding, now Joffrey Lonmouth has, he's beaten at a tourney, but then he dies days later, right? That's what happens in the books. He's beaten at the 5th anniversary to celebrate Alicent and King Viserys' wedding or whatever. This is after she's turned against Chris and Cole. This is once Harwin is already a protector. He beat his face off. He literally beat his face off. When they pulled him back, there was still a pile of blood that was just sitting there chilling, right? Way more hardcore than someone dying from their injuries a few days later. And you know this, the Tittenser twins, they follow me on Instagram. Really cool. I'm just saying, had to say that. But those dudes do UFC, and their duel is one of the it's got to be a bloody duel in Westerosi history because the singers wrote songs about it, right? So you have multiple different versions. One is that the fight was only a few seconds and they mortally wounded each other and died in each other's arms. Then another version is that they fought for the better part of an hour. Eric kills Arik, and then Eric dies a few days later from a gut wound. And then the third version, my favorite, is they fight for a long period of time. They're good as shit, so they're matching each other move for move, and then eventually they, kill each other, right? So there's multiple versions of that, but things like that, I want it to happen later on in the season, because I want those dudes to be on the show for as long as possible. They're awesome. But also, they do UFC stuff. That's going to be really violent. Oh, yeah, and then the bloody mace explosion in the first episode, that doesn't happen in Fire and Blood. No House Stark member has his face blood exploded. Like, that was nuts. So they pulled back in some areas, but they also went extremely hard in others. And then, this is something that I still, I go back and forth with all the time, but the Rainey's pit, that didn't have the dragon busted up the floor. That didn't happen. Fire and Blood, way more hardcore. The innocent small folk people don't start dying until they go into the pit trying to kill Dreamfire. They said it. They killed like 1,000 small folk like it was nothing. Well, hopefully that answered your question. And then the last question that I have from my patrons, I can't believe these who pay me money didn't submit more questions for me to answer. Y'all some sorry mother... I'm just kidding. Thank you, every single member of my Patreon. I'm not, y'all know me. Y'all get to see the true version of me in my videos. Like, for instance, me singing karaoke. Also, that's public. Anybody who's watching this right now can go watch that on Patreon. Let me drop the link for that right here. I made that post public just because I can't post that to YouTube because it'll be like the copyright on the music. So I wouldn't monetize it anyway, but I could get in trouble from using too much of the music. So I just put it on my Patreon. I'm going to put that in the chat right here. You can go watch that after this. If you all want to laugh. I think it's funny. I think I'm funny. My son makes an appearance. Just saying. Did the person doing the hot girls thing? Okay, so I'm going to block that person right down. The XX20.fun person. Fred Armisen. Thank you, John Haymaker. Thank you, dude. Thank you, Fred Armisen. Yes, he's hilarious. Scusi. He's who I want to play Lan the Clever. So, Lan is this clever guy, but he also, some of his stories, he kind of just falls into them, like tricking the Casterlys out of Casterly Rock. It'd be cool. Oh, scusi, I didn't mean to impregnate all of your daughters. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to kill all of the other people that were in front of me before. I don't know why he's Italian, but he has to be Fred Armisen. You got mad I didn't see it? Well, here's the thing. If I look at the chat, literally at all, and someone says the slightest negative thing, I start to spiral down. So I just ignore it until I'm ready for it. Once I'm ready for it, like right now, I'm receptive to it. I'm open, right? That's just, I think I'll, Monkeys. The Monkeys are a good band. You are late. Now imagine if, the thing that you messaged me about on Patreon, what if I had messaged you about the thing, and then you were late to respond, and I needed you to. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I did that message referring to, I'm not going to mention the contents of it, but that did catch me off guard, and I need a little bit of time to, kind of take that in. But obviously, that's something that I need help with. I'm just, focusing on school right now, so I haven't thought about something like that. Hello, Shilin McLeod. Is it like Michelle Lynn? So Shell Lynn, Shilin. I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say it wrong. Hey, I know you're a member of my Patreon as well. Welcome. Kvoth the Bloodless. I'm loving the fucking username. I think I've told you that before. I bet he's done with it, just waiting for the right time to publish. Are you talking about Patrick Rothfuss or George R. Martin? I got a thing for chubby white guys, authors not finishing books. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I said this before. Kvoth is my favorite character, right? Not just in, obviously, Kingkiller Chronicles, but really of anything. He's so smart, and I feel like every time I read Kingkiller Chronicle, I become a little bit more like Kvoth, right? He's so good at everything. But There's only 3 books, right? So you have The Name of the Wind, The Slow Regard of Silent Things, and then The Wise Man's Fears. George has so many more books for me to consume and eat and go like I'm chugging dicks. So many more. So Rufus, all I'm saying is give us an analytical history type composition book of just all your notes and let us know what's going on with the creation story, because I want to know what's going on. I want to know about Tamerlane the Great. That was something that was mentioned. I seen in interviews or something where you said you'd write a book on Tamerlane the Great. I don't know, but I love this username, and I've said that before. If y'all have never read King Killer Chronicle, do yourself a favor and read it. If you've got anger problems, like me, like... read in specific when he goes and learns. I don't want to spoil the book at all, but basically there's this amazing passage about how Covette sometimes feels the anger rolling around him, and like his partner, like I said, without spoiling stuff, allows him to land. So it's hard to explain it. I'm butchering it, but basically it's amazing. I actually stopped reading the book, got chills, and went to go tell my girlfriend. I was like, "This is you to me, this is you." If you aren't like that all the time, that's why I'm so mad. No, I'm just kidding. All right, getting too personal. I went to the Red Raw to BB. Me and my son just watched that movie last night, and every time he asked for it, I said, "You'll shoot your eye out." And he's like, "What the f-?" Because he's about to be 2 next week, but it was really funny. When I get excited like that, he scares easily. You know, he's a baby. Especially my daughter. Oh, my God. Yes. Irie Fan Geek, it was funny, it had me rolling. Me? Do you know the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? I'm dying to see them. To be honest, I really want to see more dragon scenes. Yes, definitely. Oh, this was supposed to be about the greens. Alright, so the last question that I have from my patrons is from Breanne Johnson, who's here right now in the chat. At least I saw you typing earlier. So let's see. Perfect, and it's on topic too. She says, "Do you think the Greens will start to pay attention to what Helena is saying in the future instead of just writing it off as nonsense?" Well, if they were smart, they would do that. I feel like, why does my mouse keep tracking? I feel like that's it'll be fun to play with, right? Because how many events are they going to make her character privy to, right? Because that's obviously something they've added on a bunch of stuff to kind of give us context to why people thought she was simple-minded and stuff. I'm answering the question from patrons, so I wanted to make sure people think I wasn't answering that. But, will they let her know that, like, if Aegon goes to the battle at Rook's Rest, he's going to be burned. So will she have this vision where she goes, "The king is on fire"? Well, she wouldn't. It wouldn't be that direct, right? The beast beneath the boards, something about the spider trapping in the web. So it would be something like, "Rook's Rest is the trap for both of you." I don't know. that was my one and only Helena impression. But it's possible that they start listening to her, right? She just needs something bigger than the beast beneath the boards. Because when she was saying that and Alicent was trying to console her, she like freaked out and pushed her away. And then she kind of does that thing when either when she knows a vision is about to happen or she gets close to one. Like, remember when Vaemon had his head chopped off? I need to go back and look, but I bet you she has some context to knowing that was going to happen as well, right? So it depends on how much information they allow her. So if she knows before Aegon... Because technically, when Aegon goes to sort of heal, right? Rhaenyra may not know where he went. Well, obviously she's not. He goes to Dragonstone. She has no idea. She definitely doesn't think that he's going to go to this fishing village outside of Dragonstone. It's really interesting when he gets there. I'll talk about that in a second. But after he's burned at Rook's Rest, if Helena gets the information to that, and eventually when they meet back with they may listen to her, or Alicent in particular, because that's what I was trying to say about that. The Greens are going to be gone, so they won't have the chance to, especially after Rook's Rest, right? So, Rook's Rest, Aegon is burned there, and then he sleeps for 12 hours, or 10 hours out of every 12, and he just wakes up long enough to take milk of the poppy, some meager substance, and then goes back to sleep. Then, while he's healing for that, Rhaenyra takes King's Landing, because Aemon gets really bold, leaves King's Landing, And Sunfire isn't there. Sunfire isn't still in near Rook's Rest in the field, eating and healing itself. So Laris sneaks away Aegon, who's half dead, to Dragonstone, and he goes to this fishing village, and he gets away from Rhaenyra. So after that point, the Greens are separated. So it's just Alicent and Helaena who are in Rhaenyra's custody. And when that happens, this is where people are going to start to turn on Rhaenyra, because she, according to Mushroom's version, puts them in a brothel and has them raped over and over, right? That's one version of it. That probably won't happen because it's, like I said, it's Mushroom's version. But also there's other context in the story that Rhaenyra loved Alicent like a not like the relationship that the show made us think about inappropriately because the actresses are really young. Not that one. I don't know how to pronounce it. I always see it on social media. I'm not a cool guy. I'm not an edgy guy, but I think it's like sapphic or something. That kind of romance. It's not like that. In the books, it's much more of like a respected kind of thing because they knew each other for years at court. And that's all the context we're given to it. But Rhaenyra thinks back about, Alicent is still alive. She doesn't kill her. She could immediately put Alicent to death for what she did to rumors surrounding her father's death, that she hurried her father along, right? So she definitely stole her crown and gave it to her son. Alicent stole Rhaenyra's crown and gave it to her son Aegon. So Rhaenyra could put Alicent to death, but she doesn't. So she definitely loves her there. That's the context that I'm talking about when I said if, she puts Helaena and Alicent in the brothels. But they're separate because Aegon is, in the fishing village in Dragonstone. Helaena and Alicent are in Rhaenyra's custody, and then Aemond is in the Riverlands with Alicent bedding it up. You know what I mean? I am thirsty as shit. My lips. I'm gonna go get some water. I'll be right back. So yeah, Aemond is in the Riverlands. Aegon is healing in that fishing village in Dragonstone. The Greens are separate, so I don't know if they'll get a chance. What I'm getting at, Breanne, I don't know if they'll get a chance to listen to her advice, but they should. In if anything, Alicent will start listening to her. Like maybe she'll see a vision of what Rhaenyra could do to them if they don't sort of play along and like be obeisance or pay obeisance to her or whatever after she takes King's Landing. Here's one thing for you, or that I was going to say about Aegon in the fishing village. In Fire and Blood, it's mentioned that all of the people around Dragonstone that are still there, so Rhaenyra leaves a little garrison there, have grievances with her. It's really interesting. It'll be interesting how the show takes this, because the people start coming to Aegon, even though he's half burned, half dead, right? Well, he's probably healed enough to start taking people, listening to them. In the little fishing village that he's in, they start listening, he starts listening to them, and he basically gets them to help him. They help keep him smuggled, and he goes and takes Dragonstone and kills all of Rhaenyra's people in there. So when Rhaenyra is forced to leave King's Landing again after basically the riots start happening, her dragon dies. She basically it's not her fault. It's kind of the advisors around her's fault, and then also her fault. She ruins the city and is forced to leave, and she has no money, right? At the beginning of the war, the Lannister twins, Tywin and Jason, they send half of the crown's wealth to Casterly Rock. Remember, nobody can get in there. Maybe they'll have a dragon try to get into Casterly Rock for the wealth. That'd be cool. You could have one of the dragon seeds go do that as like a side mission, and then they come back real quick and be like, yeah, I couldn't get any of the crown's gold back. But anyway, half of it is sent there, and then the other half is used to fight the war or whatever, go buy sellswords. So Rhaenyra is forced to recover the crown's debt when she takes King's Landing, and that's also why people start hating her in the show, not like people watching, but in the show, lords in citizens in King's Landing start hating her because she puts taxes on everything. So by her advisor, it's her advisor's advice, but she has to rebuild the crown's debt. She starts charging publicly for executions in the dragon pit by feeding criminals and members of the Greens to her dragons. So that'll be really fun to see too. Gruesomeness is coming, Destiny. But yeah, so it'll be cool to see how they handle it with Aegon going to like having all those people come to him, because it'll be it'll be cool to have the show watcher who hasn't read the books have this idea that maybe Aegon isn't that bad of a character, so he's listening to these people. He says, I'll help you out when I go back and take King's Landing, which he does after he kills Rhaenyra and feeds her to his dragon. Now, this is going to be really painful to watch, because one of the reasons why Aegon does this is because his dragon Sunfire is near death, and then he's also in pain. He's on milk of the poppy all the time, so he's like not in the best state of mind. This is why he feeds Rhaenyra to his dragon Syrax, right? So he finds out about obviously King's Landing falling, and then his dragon fights Moondancer, and that's when Moondancer dies, Baela's dragon, right? So Jacaerys' betrothed, Bethany Antonia, really pretty. She is going to fight Aegon and nearly kill his dragon, but her dragon dies. And it's funny because Aegon jumps off of his dragon Sunfire and breaks his legs, but she doesn't. She rides her dragon to the ground, and she's pretty messed up after that, because Aegon wants her killed, and then ultimately her life is saved, and she heals and lives on past the dance. But yeah, it's really cool. So, yeah. Let's talk about some more greens. So we kind of talked about Aemon. Who's my favorite green? I ran through all of the topics and questions, and we've been doing an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm going to have to leave soon, so I'm going to be, after I talk about this little thing, I'm going to do the giveaway. You have to be, like the pinned comment, you have to be a public subscriber here on YouTube. You have to follow me on Twitter, and you also have to like this live stream. So I don't know how I'll be able to tell if you like the live stream, I guess if it has a bunch of likes on it, but you have to be a public subscriber, and you have to follow me on Twitter. I said on Instagram too, but one or the other. Follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. And the way I do the giveaways is I think of a number. Usually I do something like between 1 and 100, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to think of a number between 1 and 20, so it's a lot easier. The first person to guess that number wins. Simple as that. I'll send it to you. The shipping costs and stuff for something like this, when I sent them out last time, was pretty decent. So it's not nothing that's like, I don't even know why the hell I'm mentioning that. You don't even know about that. But yeah, you'll win, and they'll get it sent to you. You just got to give me your information. But like I said, you have to be subscribed to me here on YouTube publicly. So if your subscribers aren't public, I'm not going to know you're subscribed to me. That's the only way I can confirm you subscribe here on YouTube. And it's cool. It's like if you like anime. If you don't, then, it's like a Christmas thing. So this is Ghost, Rhaegal, and then Jon Snow. Big Head Jon Snow. This is from an artist named Blaze Manga on, I know they have an Instagram account because I just looked at it to see if they're still active, and they might have a Twitter as well. But they do a bunch of dope stuff. Like I saw they had these foil prints. I'm not affiliated with them or anything. I met them a few times at Con of Thrones when I bought that. And then I think we partied together. I partied with everybody, but I think I might have hung out with them while we were drinking. I don't remember anything about that experience. I was microdosing on a bunch of different substances that I'd never really done prior to that point before. So I was gone. But yeah, not dope, right? When was the last time you ever seen a Jon Snow anime? But yeah, so gonna be doing that giveaway here in a second. The green. The last thing I want to mention about the greens. Right? So I'm trying to tread away from the topics I've talked about from the questions that were submitted to me. If you were to summarize the way, let's do this. Let's name the characters of the greens and how they die, right? And then I'll do the giveaway. So some of the major greens, right? So Alicent dies of 2 years after. Doesn't she die of the winter fever? It's really embarrassing that I don't know that, but I'm going to put a nail on the head and say, yes, Alicent dies of the winter fever 2 years later. So 132 AC. Helaena jumps to her death and dies on the spikes of the moat surrounding Maegor's Holdfast. Aemon dies in the battle above the God's Eye. He gets Dark Sister driven through his eye socket. Arik Cargill dies via Eric Cargill. Depending on when I hope it'll be really cool to have these characters stick around for several seasons and then have that duel happen in the last season as like, this is the last attempts. Everybody's getting really desperate. Maybe Auric goes with Aegon, because he's Aegon's Kingsguard, he's his protector. He goes with him to that small folk fishing village, and then he sneaks in. But then how would you do that? Because Rhaenyra would have to be there. I don't know. It would just be really cool to have them expanded upon, have that fight and that duel mean so much more than it could. Contextually, it does, because the singers wrote a song about it. Singers don't write songs about anything in A Song of Ice and Fire. Usually when George mentions, hey, a singer, it's not as powerful as in Kingkiller, because when a singer is a type of person in Kingkiller Chronicle, and they literally sing, they use singing magic. Sounds crazy. You gotta read Kingkiller. It's amazing, right? But singers in A Song of Ice and Fire are more like poets. And the Cargill duel between the twins has to be big and epic because there's this song written about it, right? So that's how Auric dies, right? Aegon dies via poisoning, thanks to Corlys, Larys, and Grand Maester Orwell. They are all blamed in the death of Aegon II. And he dies after he gets back to King's Landing, after he takes King's Landing, right? Or takes back King's Landing. He gets into a litter and is going to, I believe, go to the Sept or toward the city, right? Remember, he's crippled, he's burned, his armor's fused into his body, but then also when he jumps off of his dragon Sunfire, who heals itself from the battle at Rook's Rest, he breaks his leg in the fight with Moondancer and Baela. So he's got a broken leg, he cannot walk, he has to be carried everywhere, and they put a glass, and that's my key. I'm going to be ending it soon. If you're watching this live, I'm about to leave and be on my way, fool. Just give me a second. I'm just kidding. It's Christmas. I need to go. After he does that, he can't walk, and he's blind, and his arms don't work good. I don't even know, what was I getting at? Oh, yeah, so he's put into the litter, and there's this glass of his favorite summer wine, summer red, and it's got poison in it. And before his litter makes it back to open the curtains to, help him get out of it, he's dead and he's got blood on his lips. So that's how Aegon II dies. Daeron, one of the Greens we haven't met yet, this is kind of funny, not really, sad. His tent is lit on fire when he's sleeping. His dragon isn't near him. They're going to probably change that for the TV show. One of the other versions of his death is that this man-at-arms smacks his head off, not even realize who he is. Like, hits him in the face with a mace. Like, Daeron comes out of his tent on fire, right? While his camp is being attacked, but Daeron comes running out of his tent on fire, and then some dude smacks him in the head with a mace, and that's how he dies, right? That's one way. Another way is, like I said, his tent is lit on fire, and he just burns in there, but he dies there. And then, this doesn't really count, but Blood and Cheese, that is where Jaehaerys is killed, and Jaehaerys is the king's heir. The twins we saw in House of the Dragon, Jaehaerys and Jaehaera. Jaehaera dies the same way as her mother, except for she's probably pushed by the orders of this dude, Unwin Peak. But I'm just kind of wrapping up the Greens. They're so little, they don't even count as Greens, because they don't do nothing wrong like Helena. Maelor is ripped apart by people, and this lady named Patty Poundstone. I called her Paula Poundstone, which is really funny. In one of my Patreon episodes, I just kept calling her Paula Poundstone. It's really funny. She goes, "Doom, doom." It reminds me of the Lannister cousin who crunches the beetles, which is something that's made up for the TV show. I don't think that conversation even happens in the books. That was one of the moments that they excelled in Game of Thrones. So anyway, that's pretty much all of them. Daeron, I said all of them. Yes. And then there's obviously the associates on their side. So Larry's, you can't really say he's a Green definitively, but he ends up being beheaded by Ice, which is really cool, because Ice is used to kill Ned Stark, and then is turned into Oathkeeper and Widow's Wail. I think Widow's Wail, right? Yeah, Joffrey's sword. But he also requests to have his foot removed before he dies. And the show turned it up to an 11 by making him have a foot fetish. So he'll probably be caught trying to do the deed with a dismembered foot. That'd be cool. What if like there's a scene where he's like, like a prisoner's being escorted away, and he's like, wait, make sure you remove the foot. And they just leave it up in the air like, what does he do with these foots? Why is he collecting feet? He obviously likes to look at them and do the thing, so maybe he likes to collect normal-looking, perfect feet. And then when he dies, he requests to Ned Stark to have his foot removed, right? And it's funny, because his foot supposedly got buried in a field, but it ended up disappearing. And so did Maelor, the kid, the youngest son of Aegon and Alicent, Aegon II and Alicent. Oh, I'm sorry, Aegon. Yeah, Aegon has sex with his mother. That's why he asked her, "Do you love me?" That's a twist no one's expecting. Even Targaryens canonically were like, "No, mother and son, too far. Dather and Dudley, too far. Parent and kid, too far." But it's totally fine if the siblings, you know what I mean? But anyway. That's something that you got to look forward to. Those are all the different ways that the Greens will die. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate either one of those holidays, happy family time. If you don't have a family, happy pet time, which is your family. Happy animal time. Happy animal time. Hopefully, this entertained you though. Like, if you're watching next week when I do my live stream, it's going to be at 10:30 at night. Let me hype that up real quick. That's my birthday. It'll be my birthday, January 1st. But it starts at 10:30 at night. I have a bottle of champagne, and I don't even drink. So I'm going to drink that champagne. I'm going to open it during the stream, and I'm going to drink it. And it's going to be an hour and a half, at least, right? And I'm going to bring in the new year. I've asked a few people to come on. It's kind of last notice for them, but also it's New Year, so most people are probably going out and doing stuff. But if you want to, and you don't want to watch a countdown show, like Ray mentioned this to me, it's kind of why I did it, you get to celebrate with me, bringing in the New Year. And, obviously I'll do another giveaway. But before I get out of here, I need to do this giveaway. Alright, so this is Jon Snow. I got a Daenerys one that I'll be doing the giveaway for next week, but I don't even want to show that, because it'll just, add a little bit of unnecessariness. Okay, so for this giveaway, remember, you have to be publicly subscribed. If you don't know what that means, go to your YouTube settings and you'll see if your subscriptions are set as public. If they aren't, I have no way of knowing if you're subscribed to me. So, you have to be publicly subscribed, and then also follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. I'm pretty active on both of them. All of the famous people from House of the Dragon follow me on Instagram, though, so that's really cool. I'm not even lying. And you know what's cool? Like, 3 different cast members have interacted. So I'm not even going to say that, but if you look hard enough on Instagram, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's cool. Really cool. And that just means that I'm way better than you as a person. No, can you imagine if that's what I actually thought? No, it's cool. They just follow them. So that's cool. Also, they're very interactive with fans. So if you message them, maybe they'd respond too. They probably would respond too. They're all the different like directors and showrunners and stuff are way more active on social media than Dan and Dave were. So if you really like, obviously, this show that we all like, and I'm stalling for the giveaway, pick a number. 1 to 10, have to be publicly subscribed, have to follow me on social media, Instagram or Twitter. On Twitter, I'm at Sir_Hunts, and on Instagram, I'm at Sir_Hunts_reviews. But yeah, it's cool. So let's do this giveaway. Think of a number 1 through 20, right? There's like 30 people watching 35 people watching right now. Number 1 through 20, pick a number. Wait, let me pick the number first. Hang on, let me pick the number first. Alright, I picked the number. Alright, so 1 through 20. Say the number in the chat. Anybody who typed the number before I said it right now, the exact time is 5:55. Anybody bring the Bella package and Cheetos for Bella? Okay. So yeah. 1 through 20. I'm pulling up the chat right now on YouTube because it's way more accurate than the one on StreamYard. All right. So the first number that I see listed at the right time is JMJ, username JMJ. But that's not the number. I'm just saying that's the first number I see. So I'm scrolling down from that point until I see the number. So JMJ, scrolling down. Remember, I literally just picked the number. This person's been mentioned a few times. I have Sheldon McLeod. The number's 11, right? I have a thing with the number 11. The number 11 is my birthday. 1190, that's my birthday. I was born on the first day of the 90s. I thought when I was 11, I was extremely lucky. My birthday, literally 0101, so that's binary code for 11 is everything. So Sheldon McLeod, you have won this right here. That's how things work. But also, most of the people that have won these giveaways have been patrons, because I have 80 patrons, and a lot of my patrons are the ones who watch these videos. There have been several people who weren't patrons that won the giveaways and became patrons later. So it's not my fault that Sheldon McLeod is a big fan of mine, and she's a patron of mine, and she won this for Christmas. It's not my fault, but she won. 11. It's the first time I seen that. Like I said, I did it really fair. The first number I saw was from a user, JMJ, and that was 4. So I scrolled down until I saw 11, right? Right there, Sheldon McLeod. I don't need to, add all this stuff. But you won! Congratulations! Merry Christmas! I hope you like Jon Snow anime style. I hope you watch anime. Or if not, maybe this makes you want to watch anime. The artist, this is really important, the artist is Blaze Manga. The last giveaway that I did, I didn't, for the Ramsey Bolton one, this is like actual art, not my art, my art. I don't know who that artist was, but this person, I do know this. The person that did this is a group of people. I think it's 2 people, maybe 3 people. They're called Blaze Manga on Instagram. And they don't just do Game of Thrones stuff, they do a bunch of anime stuff as well. Very good stuff. So, congratulations to Sheldon McLeod. It is indeed a magical number. You are right. Merry Christmas. I have to go. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully this was entertaining. I know I didn't talk about the Greens a lot, but I did. I did talk about Castle Rock and House of the Dragon throughout, and then I told you how every single member of the Greens is going to die. So this is probably what's going to happen next week, except for I'll be drinking champagne, and we'll be bringing in the new year. And I'll be Hobbities of age, 33, that's a magical birthday, right? Bringing in the new year with y'all, and it's probably going to be the same way, where I'll talk about House of the Dragon, something from Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire will happen, and I'll mention how all the blacks die. How are all of us black people going to die in America? No, the blacks, Team Blacks, a.k.a. the Princess Party. This is the Greens Party. Congratulations again to Sheldon McLeod. Message me on... Oh, you know what I didn't check? And you have time to do it now. I didn't check to see if you're a public. I would imagine you are because you're a patron, right? Just be a subscriber and follow me on social media, please. I'll be doing another giveaway next week, and I'll show you all a sneak peek of that one. I just got to go grab it. Hang on. All right. This is the Daenerys one. It's got the tape on it, but that's because it was hanging up on the wall. It was actually hanging up back there. But I took it down when I was going to do it for giveaway. So this is Daenerys and Drogon. And it is a little bit damaged, but, it's free. So Sheldon McLeod won this one, and this is the one I'll be giving away next week. And this is from an artist named Blaze Manga. So this is an anime Daenerys. Drogon. Anime, look how curvy. Nice. Daenerys. Alonat Zaldrizas Pusdari Ixos. Is the air conditioner on? Because it feels like it. It really does. I'm not saying that. The stream's already probably monetized, but that's really funny, really random, and it made me laugh. So thank you for that, Mark Anthony Hopper. Congrats, Sheldon McCloud. Hey, Cass. Hey. Hey, you should have submitted a topic so I could answer. I know you know all the stuff about Song of Ice and Fire. I'm just saying it's fun. Not very many people submitted topics on the patrons' topic submission. Just 3, and most of it was from Destiny. Her rambling, just talking. That's all she does. Just talk. I say, God dang, Destiny, Jesus Christ, with the messages. I'm just kidding. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. Along that, Adaldrisas Boostar. Hey, you know what's really cool? I'm gonna get out of here before I say this. You know what's really, really cool? I told 3 different people. 2 of them on the show, okay? The other one, responsible for one of the best episodes of the show, Merry Christmas, and they said Merry Christmas back. Yeah, but they're on House of the Dragon, so that's really cool. And remember, I told you, they follow me because I'm better than you. I'm a better person than you. I'm just kidding. It's so to me, that's hilarious to say that as a joke because it's so funny to think that. No, I still can't believe they do it, which is honestly why I send the messages so often, just to let them know, hey, you're still following me. Are you sure you want to? Because not to like make them unfollow me, because I can't believe it. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's cool. A long night, Merry Christmas. Wait, I'm not gonna sing any songs. I'm not gonna do that to y'all. I'm not gonna do that to y'all. Oh yeah, that painting behind me that you see over there, that's from my boy Jay Fox. Follow him on Instagram as well. He's over in the UK. He does canvases. I don't know if he's taking commissions right now, but he does. Eventually he will. I think he's starting portraits back up in mid-January. That's what he was telling me about. So, a long night of the trisas, bustari, ixos. Congratulations to Shaun McLeod. And remember, I will be doing the same giveaway for this one next week. Oh yeah, so see you later, alligator. That was funny. I am